Okay, so we're going to get to our show. Good morning, Pagosa, with the Pagosa Springs Medical Center. And Jason Webb is here, Director of EMS and Kelsey Jensen, B-Shift Lieutenant. Good morning, you guys.
Good morning, Will.
Good morning.
How's everything?
We're doing great. How are you?
Good. Thanks for dropping by.
Yeah, no problem.
And I know you guys are always busy, and I'm really glad you're here. We're going to talk about wrapping up spring break.
Yeah, man.
And how's the last several weeks been?
It's been kind of busy for sure. I'm sure everybody's excited to get their little ones back to school. I know it's kind of hard to manage for a week when you're working and stuff, but just wanted to talk a little bit about that, of what spring break means for EMS and the medical center. Mm-hmm. Spring break, I don't know if people realize this, but as town progresses and gets bigger and more people visit, it turns into like a 3-week event here in Pagosa. So at EMS, what does that mean? That means more calls, more activity, and of course the weather's pretty dynamic. So we're running all of our calls through all of those elements that we see. And we kind of giggle because we have a Texas spring break, an Oklahoma spring break, and now a Pagosa spring break. But we're happy that we're wrapping it up. This will give us a little bit of lull usually for about a month or so, and then the summer will start as May sets in, and we'll get going for all of our summer events that we help support in the community.
Right. So yeah, it's just we're winding down for the Pagosa spring break, and Kelsey was saying she sees a lot of Utah plates, so I don't know, maybe. Yeah,
maybe there's Utah here.
Spring break.
Yeah, totally.
But anyway, and we were going to talk about training too. And
yeah,
I know you've got some cool programs going, courses for people.
Yeah, I'll let Kelsey talk here in a second about them. I just wanted to talk about our training center today.
Okay.
We've got an EMS training center that was started in 2013, and that training center does a lot of things. It has kind of two functions. One is that it helps support medical providers that are in the community. So we teach a lot of courses that are required that medical providers take every couple of years to stay certified in various topics, most of them surrounding cardiac arrest. And so that training center has been going since 2013. We also, in that training center, develop EMTs to obtain all the requirements that they need so that they can practice as an EMT in any community or any job. And we're really proud about that. And Miss Kelsey here, our Lieutenant Kelsey, she's been helping me with this for years, actually, and she's very involved. You've probably seen her out and about in the community talking about various demos. Yeah, I always recommend if you
maybe at Rotary.
Rotary we've done, the fair. I mean, anywhere we'll do it. But if you see her name and there's a demo, I guarantee you it's going to be pretty entertaining. But anyway, I'll let Kelsey talk about what the training center is about, what we do, and kind of some of the questions that people ask us about what we deliver. So what do you think, Kels?
Well, like Jason said, a lot of the things that we really focus on in the training center is we do a lot of classes for the medical community here in Pagosa, because we do have certifications that we're all required to upkeep, like CPR, ACLS, PALS. But a big portion of the training center for us is outreach to the community. We like teaching CPR to our community members. We also like to teach first aid. I also teach another class called Stop the Bleed, which is a government-sanctioned class that they came out with by the American College of Surgeons. After, unfortunately, the Sandy Hook incident, they realized that bleeding was a big reason why people didn't make it through that casualty. So Stop the Bleed's a very simple 1-hour course that we provide for free, and it just teaches the basics of bleeding control. And that's a really good class that we offer to the community several times a year. Like I said, it's free, so it's a pretty good one. That's one of the ones that I've done some demos on. So if you ever see a Stop the Bleed demo, there's usually a lot of fake blood and screaming and bleeding, but
it's a lot of fun.
Yes, but it's a good thing to teach. I think it's very important for our community to know these skills when it comes to CPR and Stop the Bleed and first aid, because Pagosa is a very large community, and Archuleta County in general is 1,800 square miles is what we cover in EMS. And it's the laymen, the people out in our community, that are actually going to help us do our job and help us help each other, really. With CPR especially, out of out-of-hospital cardiac arrests are very common, unfortunately. In America, I don't know the full statistic, but in Pagosa alone, we've had quite a few deaths already this year, unfortunately. And what helps us is the community themselves. If we have people out there that know CPR, they're able to initiate CPR before we can get there. The national average for an EMS response when we get called 911 is about 8 minutes. And that's the national average. That's not 1,800 square miles that we're going all the way up to Wolf Creek or State Line, or we're going all the way out to Aspen Springs 6. So we try to get there as fast as we can in Pagosa, but sometimes it takes a little bit longer. And that 8 minutes is time for people that are in cardiac arrest that makes it less and less likely that they're going to survive, especially if they're not getting CPR. So there's generally about a 3-minute window when somebody goes into cardiac arrest that we need to initiate CPR. So layman, hands-only CPR, not even breathing, just pushing on chest. We'll actually give that person a 60% chance of survival if they get CPR started within 3 minutes.
Pretty crazy stat.
Yep.
Yeah.
Really is. Wow.
And then every minute after that 3 minutes, if people haven't started CPR, then that percentage goes down by about 10%. So that means within about 8 to 10 minutes, when it might take us that long to get there, that patient's survival rate is pretty low. So what we look for is we try to teach people out in our community to do CPR so that they feel much more comfortable in initiating CPR, so that it is ongoing by the time we get there. Another thing that we've worked on is getting AEDs out into our community.
Right.
We have over 40 in Pagosa that I don't think a lot of people are aware of. They're all over downtown. There's some at the community center. There's some at the library, the old courthouse. Most of the dentist offices have them. A lot of the churches have them. Our sheriffs have them. All of the schools have them. There's one at the football field at the high school as well. And an AED is actually going to extend that person's capability of survival rate even higher. So good, high-quality hands-on CPR and AEDs completely change the game when it comes to out-of-hospital cardiac arrest. So our community classes, we work really hard on trying to get people in our community feel more comfortable with doing those things until EMS arrives. Another question that I just want to touch on is that a lot of people get concerned about doing CPR because they're worried about getting in trouble for hurting people.
Like a liability or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Or pushing on their chest or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's actually, a lot of people have heard of the Good Samaritan Law or Good Samaritan Act, and that was actually one of the reasons why those were founded. They're different in every state, but Good Samaritan Act will actually help protect you. And that's what it's for, is that as long as you are acting within good faith for that person that you're trying to help, and you're not being grossly negligent, like being overtly violent or doing something silly, you'll be protected. And I'll tell you right now, as EMS, when I show up, I will be grateful.
Yeah.
So
It makes a world of difference.
Yes.
Just in my experience in EMS for many years, when there's bystander CPR that happens, use of an AED, generally there's a much better outcome. It's not always, but if there is a shot, it has to happen at the scene before we get there. And that's the crazy thing about this, that the best system in the world with the smartest paramedics will still have the same outcomes if there's not community bystander CPR.
What's you mentioned ACLS? What's that? I should probably know.
Yeah, so ACLS is it's called Advanced Cardiac Life Support.
Oh, okay.
Generally, that goes to those that work in the medical industry that are directly involved in resuscitation. So physicians take it, like emergency room physicians, nurses, and all of our medics are required to take it as well. And then there's a pediatric version of that as well.
And that's PALS? Is that
PALS, yeah, and that's Pediatric Advanced Life Support. And then all of our medics as well also go through a course that's called NRP, which is the Neonate Resuscitation Program, which is a course that focuses on the very young demographic. The first month of life, if there happened to be a bad event, we're trained to respond to that in an appropriate way.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
So fascinating. And so how do people sign up for the courses, or when are they, and how do you show up, or that kind of thing?
So with our community courses,
Yes.
I don't have any actual dates right now, unfortunately, to give you, but we do advertising. So if you look in the newspaper, we'll have them under the PSMC advertisings. It'll have when and where. Generally, we're looking at doing a lot of them at the library or at the community center to try to make them so that they're a lot more available to people. We also do courses at the EMS station as well, but the library and the community center are usually a little bit easier to get to. When it comes to hands-only CPR, the cost is generally going to be $0. You're not going to have a certification from American Heart Association, but that's okay, because honestly, when it comes to CPR, I don't need a little card that tells me you know what you're doing. I just, yep.
Yeah.
We do official CPR and first aid courses through American Heart Association, where you do get a certification. So if that is something that is required for either work or whatever, we can do group classes. If you have at least 4 students, you can contact me, and we're more than happy to set up a scheduled appointment with you to do this class. You can either do it once again at our station, or I will come to you. And then Stop the Bleed, I generally also do in the community center. I've done demonstrations at the county fair last year, and that really, even the demonstration is enough for people to get the basics of bleeding control. So in order to contact me, there's a couple of ways. So a good phone number, which is my direct extension at EMS, is 970-507-3973, which again, 970-507-3973. And that's my direct extension at EMS. Or you can email us at isems.training@psmedicalcenter.org. That's a long one, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
isems.training@psmedicalcenter.org.
Yeah.
And you can find most of that information as well if you go to our website at Pagosa Springs Medical Center. You go under services and you find EMS, and a lot of our contact information is on there as well.
Pagosa Medical Center.org, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're there.
Pagosa Springs Medical Center.org.
That's
Thanks,
it.
Kelsey. That's great.
Yeah, of course.
Jason, all right.
Yeah.
So where are we on our schedule here?
A couple things to
Yes.
talk about as we at the end here is as we mentioned, that training center fulfills the community training as well as medical training for people who want to get into EMS. We frequently have people that ask us, "How do I become an EMT?" And that's really exciting for us. We got to build the ranks of EMS. That's a very fundamental service in our community, and we love it. And so every year we host courses through the same training center. The contact information that Kelsey just gave would be the same contact if you're trying to inquire about the course. The very first course that anybody would take is what's called an EMT basic course. There's many levels in EMS, all the way up to critical care paramedic, but everybody starts at an EMT basic course, and it's about a 6-month course. Kelsey actually is the primary instructor for that, and so she's currently teaching our course that's in play right now. And so we've done many courses over the years. Like I said, the training center started in 2014. At the end of the day, to become an EMT, you have to finish what's called a national registry test, and that allows you to become certifiable. And we make our course so that it prepares you to take that test. So when you're done, you're ready to take your license and you feel confident about it. And a stat that I've been always happy about through the time is our pass rate for the first time people have taken the test has been greater than 90% since the beginning of the training center itself. So I feel strongly about our course. I feel like our instructors do a great job. It's taught by people who actually do the job every single day. Everybody that teaches at EMS is also on the ambulance. So there's a lot of practical knowledge and experience that they bring to the table as they teach you all the elements of that.
Mm-hmm. Where is the training center? Is that at the fire station? Or?
Good question.
Yes.
Well, yeah, so close to it. So most people recognize where we're located as the fire department that's up on North Pagosa Boulevard. There's actually a brown building that's adjacent to it. It's almost a little bit behind it, and that's the EMS building. Okay. And that's where our crew quarters are. That's where we respond from, but that's also where we do our trainings at. And so there's a little classroom in there with all the audio, video, and seating and all the things that you would need, and that's where we do our courses.
And I know we always talk about how we're proud that we have our own hospital-owned EMS and ambulances and all that.
It's an awesome thing. Most communities don't have a hospital-based service. There's various different models of EMS, but one of the great things about that, tying it to all these trainings that we do, is that physicians, our local physicians that work in the medical center, support us and are part of sometimes the curriculum development or approval or delivery. Sometimes they even come and teach some of this stuff too. So there's not many places that you can get that connected to a physician, which anytime the more connection you have to your physician, the better healthcare outcomes are going to be. So we try to promote that as much as possible.
Mm-hmm. And there's the team on the website.
Yeah,
some great photos.
They just updated that not too long ago.
Good. I noticed it's different. Yeah, and it's got some good photos, and we're just really proud of our hospital and all the staff and you guys at EMT, and thanks so much. Why don't we take a quick break, and we'll just come back in just a minute and wrap up our show with the Pagosa Springs Medical Center, Jason Webb and Kelsey Jensen. Stay tuned, folks. We'll be right back. Visiting with EMT this morning, Jason and Kelsey. So we were still talking about the training center and all that. And you want to touch on the simulation? I saw that in the notes. That sounds interesting.
So actually, this is kind of a cool thing. And it goes along with some of the movements that been happening in Pagosa surrounding like the organizations like Build Pagosa and things of that nature, trying to find ways that people can better themselves, improve themselves, start new careers while living in Pagosa, not having to leave. And the medical center is very much behind that. So EMS, Deputy Chief Connie Cook and Andrew Spangler, our director of our training center, they dreamed up this grant. They were able to apply for a grant that I believe it was about $400,000 is what the grant was for that they got awarded. Well, what it entailed was a couple of things. The first thing that I'm really excited about is what's called a high-fidelity simulation lab. And so what it is everybody's kind of seen the mannequin, like Kelsey was talking about earlier with the CPR dummies, and those are very basic mannequins that we're serving a couple of skills that we're trying to teach. But these high-fidelity simulation mannequins, and we have 3 different ones, an adult, a child, and an infant, allows us to make realistic medical scenarios as like a human. I mean, these things cry, they sweat, they make noises, they breathe, they cough, anything you can think of. We can actually even create blood pressure, heart rate, all those things. And to the person that's trying to do it or trying to assess it's like a realistic person in front of them. So we were able to get that with this grant. And on top of that, we got some tuition funding to help people who want to do one of our EMT programs to become an EMT. Each year it's a 3-year program, and we have tuition assistance for 12 people per year. And so we're right now in the middle of that, but we'll have the next year and the following year that we have another 24 people that we would like to make EMTs in our community, and we have funds for that. And so the idea behind that is if you wanted to get in healthcare, maybe you don't want to be an ambulance person, maybe that's a little too gory for you, whatever the case may be, but the EMT skill set is good no matter where you go in medicine. And so maybe if you want to work in the clinic or you mentioned the cancer center or whatever the case may be, a lot of those skills translate. And so the goal is to use this high-fidelity simulation lab with this tuition assistance to try to create 24 people the skills and the certification they need to acquire a job in healthcare in our community. Whether that's the medical center or wherever, there's lots of medical needs within our community. And our goal is to try to help promote that cause of allowing people an opportunity of entry into the healthcare system through the EMT program. And so it's really exciting, and I'm happy about it, and I think it's going to draw some new people to help recruit, and I'm pretty sure that we'll create some very smart people when it comes to medicine.
Seriously, that's really cool. Wow. So that's a good show for us. We're almost out of time, but not really. If you have anything else,
I just appreciate
covered
us,
a lot, yeah.
yeah, coming down. We always throw a lot of facts at you guys. Again, if you have questions, Kelsey, throughout the phone numbers and the email address and the website, and we always point people to those information points. Things can change, the members can change, and those seem to remain consistent. And so if you can reach out, if you have any questions or concerns, if you want to set up a CPR class or stop the bleed class, or we'll even help with people develop their emergency plans if they have a business or something that they would like assistance with, connecting with us. We're happy to do that.
Right, and Kelsey mentioned, is it EMS training at Pagosa Springs Medical Center.org?
There is a period in there, so it's ISEMS period training.
Okay.
They had to make it difficult. Sorry.
Okay.
I did just want to add also one more thing that we can assist with that Jason didn't mention is if you're interested in getting an AED into your business or even for personal use, Andrew Spangler, who's director of our training center, he's well versed in helping get funding for that or even assistance in getting AEDs where they need to be, because we want as many of those in the community as possible. So you can also contact us there if you're interested in that.
Yeah, and I just typed training on the website there in the search box, and sure enough, there it is. EMS ambulance, right? Would that be it? Probably.
That's us.
A leader in rural emergency medical services. And, of course, you can always call 911 when there's an emergency.
We're happy to call. We're happy to come.
What a team. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us, Will.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. Have a great Friday. We're going to get to our Ag News next. And a big thanks to Jason Webb, Director of EMS, and Kelsey Jensen, the B Shift Lieutenant. What, does B stand for anything, or it's just kind of...
No, we just have 3 shifts.
Three?
So,
Okay.
so I'm B shift.
Okay, so it's ABC or something?
Yep.
Okay, good. Yeah, there's quite the team over there. Okay, we're going to get going, and thanks again, guys. We'll see you later.
Thanks, Will.
Okay.